Length has its perks. You can reach for soup up high in a cabinet. You can itch every corner of your back. You can tie your shoes without bending over. And you can deflect more passes. Just ask Mikal Bridges, an elite wing defender on the Phoenix Suns. I spoke with Mikal for today's episode of The Void, and we broke down his defense, discussed his expanding offense, and how he impacts the Suns. Let's get into it. Mikal Bridges is already one of the NBA's best wing defenders, and he's an integral part to Phoenix's defense by often taking on the opponent's best perimeter scorer. This season, he's defended Kawhi, Jamal Murray, Ja, Luka, Ingram, Mitchell, and so many other stars, and he's done about as well as anyone could against them. Bridges ranks 4th in the NBA in a stat called matchup difficulty, which measures the quality of players a defender is matched up against. It doesn't mean that you are a great individual defender, it means that you get those tough assignments. KCP and Bridges are the only guys on this list that are pieces of a top 10 defense that take those tough assignments and make life hard on them. Here against Donovan Mitchell, Bridges mirrors his movements to contain the drive, then stretches his arm out to get a hard contest. The work really begins before the ball is inbounded, though, as Bridges explained.
And he's tough to guard. He's fast and quick and shoot, so it's just strong. So it's just like, what are my advantages over him? And it's just using my length to get him and trying to stay close to him, stay on him so he doesn't get no separation. You know, if he can get a separation and come off and just shoot it quick. So I'm just trying to be solid and use my length and, make it tough for him.
Bridges has an elite blend of intelligence, quickness, toughness, and length. He can harass speedy guards by moving laterally, or he can swallow their shots alive using his arms. The guy just plays so hard. There are countless examples of him rotating to defend 3 guys on one possession, like he did here last season against the Kings. He's always so good positionally too. Here he's on Fred VanVleet, who jets through a screen, and Bridges is trailing like anyone would be in this spot, and Jay Crowder switches to contain VanVleet, but Baynes has an edge on the dive to the rim. But even with a slip from Bridges, he takes long strides to catch up and box out. But look, Baynes is a tough guy. He tosses Bridges away, but he fights back and gets the rebound. I really love that play. That's a winning effort by Bridges, and yet it all goes down in the record books as a measly rebound. Unless there's a way to measure those moments like a proper rotation or a second effort, I really don't think defense can ever truly be captured by the numbers in the same way that offense is. Because defense is so much about what goes on beyond the box score and even beyond what tracking data can measure. The Suns have a top 10 defensive rating because defense isn't an individual endeavor. Bridges isn't the only guy making plays on this team. It requires an entire roster to be connected. Because when you're defending as many great players as Bridges does, sometimes he's going to get beat, as he does right here by Jamal Murray. But oh my goodness, what a play by DeAndre Ayton. Look at this man. What a play. He looks like he's one of Elon's rockets sticking his arms straight up going into orbit. The pick and roll makes Bridges' team impact clear. Here he fights over the Mitchell-Gobert screen, Chris Paul swipes at the ball, and Dario Saric is at a 2-on-1 with Mitchell snaking toward the middle of the floor and Gobert diving to the rim. Bridges ends up with a steal here, but he says Saric made the play.
Dario helped me just stunting at him. Donovan thought Dario was going to come take him, so he thought he was going to pass, and we're just kind of messing with him.
The stunt is a ploy used by a defender to momentarily leave his assignment before recovering. Here he forces Mitchell into the pass because he thought Gobert was about to be open on the roll. But Saric gets back and Bridges is there to snatch the ball. In this instance, Bridges starts the possession on Luka, but then the Suns switch the screen, which puts rookie big man Jalen Smith onto Luka. Bridges said at this point the goal is to keep Luka out of the paint, so he stays close enough to deter him from driving, but also close enough to close out onto his new matchup, Maxi Kleber. And Bridges does it by playing the middle of them both with arms wide open. This is an example of the Suns' creed. Everyone steps up, as Bridges explained.
And everybody else stepping up. You see Book pointing at C-Payne. Like, you got the low man. So, like, just in case he goes right or goes past him, I'm just trying to help. Luka, I don't got to talk about him. You know how good he is. So just make somebody else beat us.
When you're a teammate of Devin Booker and Chris Paul, the odds are you're the guy that other teams are trying to force the ball to. And Bridges often is. But he's already made defenses pay multiple times this season, including a career-high 34-point game and a win over the Pacers. Bridges often gets labeled a 3-and-D player, but in a recent story by Spencer Davies on basketballnews.com, Bridges told him he's not a fan of that 3-and-D label. So when I chatted with Bridges, he pretty much says the 3 in 3-and-D isn't an adequate enough way to describe most players that get put into that category.
All labeling is just putting somebody in a box, really. So always trying to expand the box and try to do everything.
Bridges is doing just that. He even had to rebuild his shot to qualify to have the three-pointer. After his years at Villanova, he developed a hitch that plagued his shot during his first 2 seasons in Phoenix. He told me he worked through that all of last season with his coaches, and now this season it's finally clicked. He's become a knockdown three-point shooter again, hitting well over 40% of his 6 three-point attempts per game, but he does a lot more than just shoot threes. Bridges is one of the best cutters in all of the NBA. He told me his high school offense was a pass and cut system. So he's been doing this for years. Now he's getting on highlight reels because he's dunking after catching defenders sleeping.
I feel like cutting is one of my best things in my game. I've just been doing it for so long. Just, throughout the game, I'm in the corner throughout, getting to the corner, might not get it. So the defense will relax. I'm used to being in here. So it's just like, all right, they're just like, he's in the corner. He might shake up. He might whatever. So I kind of just act like I'm just standing there, not doing nothing. And then I just try to make a quick move. And then by then it's either he's going to grab me or it's going to be wide open.
Bridges made a smart point about cutting that I don't hear mentioned too often. He said, a lot of the time the opponent puts their best perimeter player on him because they want that star to get a rest on defense, knowing he's not an on-ball shot creator. So he says cutting is a way to wear them out even if he doesn't end up getting the ball, which is what happens here. Bridges puts a move on Oladipo, which takes him out of position, wears him down, and gets Cam Johnson an open 3. It's a miss, but he created that open shot with the cut.
Why not take advantage of them? Because if they're just trying to rest on defense, make them work on the other end as well.
You can see that impact when he catches and attacks immediately to get into the paint, like he does on these plays against the Rockets, finding Ayton with really slick passes. Bridges is such a quick decision maker with the ball, always makes the extra pass to play good to great basketball. There's only 5 wings with an assist to turnover ratio over 3 this season. Bridges is one of them. Bridges is one of the elite at not turning the ball over and making the smart play. He says playing 3 years at Villanova helped his playmaking.
Coach Wright, we're all basketball players. We all work on our games to where we're just not categorized as just this and that. Like, it's going to be tough to play against us because all 5 guys out there can shoot the ball, can dribble the ball, can pass the ball, can always make the right play. And when you play against a team like that, it's tough. It's tough to guard. So being at Nova really helped me keep that and keep building from it now.
Bridges is now building on that foundation. He's working on his ball handling, and that's helped him get even better at driving to the basket and finishing. He already had really good touch, scoring around the rim, but he's also now showing flashes off the dribble during his limited chances to do so. His handle looks cleaner than ever with chains of pace moves and hesitations, and this shot right here was really, really nice. Here's what Suns head coach Monty Williams said about the development of Bridges.
His nickname should be Every Day because he's the same guy every single day. Always has a great attitude, works his tail off, has a great edge about him, treats everybody with unreal respect, and yet he goes out there on the floor and plays like, he's a football player, a nut sometimes. And so I love the balance that he has. He's been a bit of a flagship for our player development program. And I'm just happy to see him not just doing it on the offensive end, but he does it every night on the defensive end. Even when he doesn't stop his guy, he's going to give you great effort.
Man, Monty Williams really just summed it all up. Because what we have here in Mikal Bridges is a player who at only age 24, in only his 3rd season, is already one of the most complete wing defenders in the entire NBA. The Suns have 2 elite offensive talents in Booker and Paul, but for any team with any playoff hopes, it's also critical to have players with elite defensive talent who are at least passable on offense. Bridges is more than passable. He's a really, really good all-around basketball player, and he's only getting better. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of The Void. Comment below or hit me up on social media because I want to know, what video do you want me to do next week? Do you want me to talk about Ben Simmons evolving on the offensive end of the floor, or Mike Conley getting back on track with the Utah Jazz, or Lou Dort and whether his jump shot is for real or not? And I also want to know your thoughts on Bridges' upside and the future of the Suns. Thank you to Dylan Berkey, Sean Yu, and our entire team for making The Void. Please do us a favor. Like this video, share it with your friends who love the NBA, and subscribe to The Ringer. Thank you again for watching. Have a fun rest of your day.